back to Inside A&M Athletics. I'm Chauncey Sanders, of course, and I'm now sitting alongside the 11th head coach of the men's basketball program, Dante Jackson. Coach, first of all, welcome in. What's the feeling like? What's the temperature?
First off, thanks for having me, Chauncey.
Of course.
Man, temperature is amazing, man. Like, I'm excited. I feel a breath of fresh air. I'm ready to get after it.
Ready to get after it. I hear you on that. Coach, this transition for you almost feels seamless now. This is your third time being hired on by a familiar face and a good friend of yours, Dr. Paul A. Bryant. Can you describe the relationship with him? What's it like being with him?
The relationship is like, it's different. Friendship, we have a brotherhood, but he's probably the best mentor I ever had in my life. You know, like when I have issues and things that I'm not feeling good about, he's somebody I can reach out to and talk to and just have, a common, direction that I know that he's going to be there and he's going to tell me the truth. And sometimes good, bad, or indifferent. We may not want to hear the truth, but, it's great to be there and, him be able to tell me exactly things that he feels.
For sure. And this conversation between you all, when did this start about, getting the ball rolling down the hill about becoming the next head coach?
So the conversation started, I don't know, like maybe last week or something like that.
Okay.
Things happened with Coach Hughley. Unfortunately that happened or whatever the case is. I kind of got a call maybe a day or two afterwards, and it was kind of like, hey, you interested? What's up, bro? And I'm like, man, I'm good, bro. Like, I'm straight. So then he was like, I got you. Then he was like, I'm just letting you know, man, you should apply. Just go through the process. And I was like, man, it's called AD. Call my AD. He was like, well, all right, we're going to do it right. So, always with him, it's always professionalism. He always does it the right way. So he called, talked to my AD. My AD was like, man, he called me. I was like, So then it was like, all right, let's have a conversation. We talked a little bit. We talked about some different things that's going on here at the Hill. And I started thinking to myself, like, all right, now this is a real conversation I have with my wife and kids. Like, it's a real conversation. So we started talking a little bit, and we got in depth, and I talked to my wife a little bit more, and we went all the way to the bottom of the ninth. Like, we went all the way to Wednesday,
Wow.
to try to figure out, like, we gonna do it. He like, I got another candidate, man, so if you ain't gonna do it, you need to let me know. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
And I was, it felt good. It felt good in my spirit to do it.
For sure. What enticed you about this community, this campus here at Alabama A&M, to make it so attractive to leave a place like Grambling where you have been for years?
Well, I think that it wasn't the fact that, like, it was anything wrong with Grambling or anything of that nature. I felt like I was in a good space at Grambling, so let's just make that very clear. But then, coming here, having my mentor here, having Dr. Williams as the president who loves sports and he wants sports to thrive, being here, and I'm not sure about the research level that just went up another notch, like one only HBCUs with this research type area. It just made me think to myself, like, man, like, so many good things going on there, and you want to be on the uptick. You want to be on the upswing of things, and I felt like this is a place that we can take things to a whole nother level. And through my conversations with Dr. Bryant, I was like, okay, I'm excited about taking this to another level.
For sure. I want to unwind back a little bit, dial back the clock. You were a first-year head coach at Central State.
Yep.
You were a former player. You had won the John Garland Award, Leadership Award, if I'm correct. I do my homework pretty well.
Yeah, you do your homework
Definitely.
pretty well.
You've always been known, whether it was at Central, Stillman, Grambling, of course, and now here, as a very well-known leader of men. Where did that start for you?
To be honest, I feel like that started in my childhood. You're the oldest, come from a single parent mom, she working and whatnot, and you gotta make sure your little brother's in school. When your cousins spend the night, you gotta make sure your little brother and cousins in school. So you gotta make sure you kind of doing everything. And then it's funny because I had the nickname, Papa Tay growing up. They were like, man, you always acting older or something. They be like, Papa, like whatever. So my guys call me Papa Tay or whatever. So it's like just always kind of had an older spirit, man. And then I always was around people who want to see you succeed. And that's why I tell people, surround yourself with people that want the best for you. And, you do that type stuff, it can go a long way. So I think that's just kind of where I get that leadership from, because I always kind of been that. Always been that. It's been naturally innate in me.
Looking forward to seeing you guys feed off a lot of this energy here all around the campus. Coach, we appreciate you again, and we can't wait to see what you do in the near future with this program. The 11th men's basketball head coach, Dante Jackson. Thanks again, Coach.
Thank you again, Josh.
Pleasure.